I wanna be a billionaire, so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen. Oh, every time I close my eyes, I see my name in shiny lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare
people
for when
in the upper
I'm
middle
a
class have better jobs than the lower class people because they have more support from their family and friends.
I do believe that that's a big factor, but I also think it's up to the individual. Some individuals have better drive to do better and try to better their lives and get better jobs, and they get an education so they get better jobs. But family support has a lot to do with it, but I think most of it has to do with the individual themselves.
Do I think people in upper and middle class have better jobs than lower jobs because they have more support? For the most part, yes. Having people that understand the benefits of a better job, pushing their siblings into getting better jobs, is a natural course of events. And it can be seen throughout history, where the noble class tends to do better than the lower class. However, going on to number 2, do you think family members in certain social classes have an influence on which careers? Slightly, to a very small degree. If you see your parents doing a job, you'll tend to be more comfortable doing that type of job. But for the most part, I think people go into careers that best reflect the skills they have when they're lower class people can get into higher paying jobs. I'm proof of that, by the way. Where I paid my way through college and got higher classes. And that can happen, but what hurts the lower class people is the motivation. They see the welfare state, they see how easy it is for their parents just to get by on welfare and minimum paying jobs. And that kind of influences them in the future, in my opinion. However, I've seen many examples of people that have worked their way out of lower class into middle and upper class by through hard work and just desire. Certainly the government helps with student loans and other things to get them out of the lower classes. And some people take advantage of it, some people don't. They do that, but then they don't get into areas where they can get a better job.
Okay, do people from certain socioeconomic statuses usually qualify for higher paying jobs, and can somebody from the lower class or middle class qualify for a higher paying job? Absolutely. Again, I think the number one factor when it comes to qualifying for a higher paying job would be your education. Now, if you don't have the opportunities afforded to you to go to school, then of course you might not necessarily qualify for those higher paying jobs. So if you're coming from a higher echelon SES, then you're probably going to have more opportunities afforded to you to go to school. Of course, that's not a guarantee, but if you have those opportunities afforded to you to go to a school, to get the education, to get the credentials under your belt, then of course you're going to qualify for those higher paying jobs. But can somebody kind of break through the classes, so to speak? Absolutely. Again, you could recognize somebody struggling in your family, a friend or loved one, recognize that they opted not to go to school, or maybe they had some hardship so they weren't able to go to school, and you recognize the importance of yourself going to school, and you'll find an opportunity, or you'll find a way that you can put yourself through school. And I think once you get your education under your belt, I think we kind of break through the classes, or at least I kind of hope that we would break through the classes as a society, and you could go and qualify for a job whether you come from a lower class family or not. Once you have the education under your belt, you would hope that they wouldn't discriminate or stereotype based on your socioeconomic status, and you should qualify for those same jobs as the. I think that friends and family members have an influence or influence what careers people choose to go into. Absolutely, I think whether you come from a lower SES or a higher SES, your friends and family members are going to have a significant influence on what careers you choose. It could be because they try to encourage you into going into careers that might pay a little bit more. They might try to encourage you to go into careers that would allow you to be happy. You might also see a friend or family member who struggles through life, and they could have an influence in that they make you want to improve upon your own life and maybe possibly have a better life, so to speak, than they have when it comes to your finances are concerned. I would say friends and family, despite your socioeconomic level, would probably be one of the single largest influencing factors as to what career you're going to choose.
So I think social class affects students in school? Yeah, absolutely, because depending on where you come from and depending what your family status is, whether your parents are both employed or not, can make a big difference in how students, achieve. Because a lot of parents, for example, where I work, the students come from single parent families. The parent is maybe, like a waitress at a restaurant making about $17,000 a year, raising 3 kids. And yet a parent, for example, that has a degree, maybe is an engineer or pilot or something, and they're living up in the more affluent areas of Albuquerque, are making $200,000 a year. That student has a better chance socioeconomically to have the clothes and have the environment to be provided to be able to come to school on time, maybe with their own car. Whereas a lot of my students ride the city bus or they'll walk to school, and they just because the parent cannot afford to get them a car, much less pay for gas and insurance and everything else that comes with it. So I think depending on where you were born and how you were brought up and what part of town you live in does affect your schooling for the majority, but not for everybody. Social class can affect performance in school, but I don't think it entirely lays the blame on there. I think it comes down to the actual individual student, regardless of if you're lower class, middle class, or upper class. Opportunities, are going to provide themselves to help you in school, but it really comes down to the actual student. If they have the work ethic, the desire, and the intelligence to get through whatever situation they're presented, they can still achieve good grades and do well in school. When it comes down to if the upper class students are going to graduate on time and go to college, it seems like the majority of them do that and will do that. Whereas lower class students or even middle class students, again, it comes down to their environment, whether they're going to get through or not. I think upper class do have an advantage because they either have a nuclear family or the family's intact, versus a lot of my students where they don't have those privileges or those advantages, at their disposal.
Do people in certain social classes usually qualify to get a higher paying job? Can a lower class person get into a middle or upper class job?
Yeah, most definitely, because that's just the way it is. They have better connections with more people that have, good job positions available. In the lower class, have to work blue collar jobs.
Do materialistic items affect how people are viewed in society?
Definitely, because people are judgmental when they first see you and see what you have and how you present yourself. First impression means a lot.
Alright, do you think that social class affects students in school?
Yes. Make them think they're smarter than other people because they have more materialistic possessions and their parents have better jobs, etc. Pretty much in this society, money means everything. If you're poor, you're worth nothing. If you have a bunch of money, you're worth something. Whether it's people that want money from you or... yeah, money makes a big difference.
Social class does, in some ways, affect those at work, in school, and society. A person's image, prosperity, and intelligence are judged by others depending on their social class. When a group of people were asked if they would rather be rich or poor, many people who would rather be poor said that life would be easier without many items and they would ultimately be happier. Those who would rather be rich said that they wanted the freedom to move around as necessary. They wouldn't need to worry about the future. They would have what they need for school fees. Money would offer security. However, social classes do not affect people today as strongly as they did in the past. Today, most people understand others from certain classes and judgment isn't as harsh as it was before. Because of this, people have been able to achieve greatness despite their social class, with enough support and the desire to reach their potential.